What is going on, you guys? My name is Daniel, and on this channel we go over everything mirrorless Canon cameras. Today we're going over low light photography problems that you can be facing with the EOS R and how to fix them. We're going over steps that you can take before you go and shoot, while you're shooting, and then in post what you can do to actually make your images look better. So coming up here right after the intro, let's get to it. So some of the problems that you can run into while shooting low light photography is motion blur, having blurry images, grainy images, and having an overflashed image, which can blow out highlights, piss people off, and in other words, well, even with the red light of death that this thing shoots out, if you're pointing that in people's face all night for an event, they're not gonna like you very much, and probably not gonna have you back or recommend you because people don't like that. So we're going to cover things that you can do beforehand, during, and after in post-production that you can cover. First up, let's start with the camera has some great range on the ISO. I usually do my photography for low light situations between 400 ISO and about 16 to 34, and I'll only push it with the RF glass to 64 if I absolutely have to. I have shot images up to, I believe it's 40,000 or whatever it goes to, the max that this camera has, and yes, it will take pictures up there and you will be able to see your image, but at the exact same time it's just so grainy that it's almost impossible to bring back in post. So some of the first things that you should do is investing in the right gear to take low light photography. That is going to involve a tripod wide angle lenses and lenses with stabilization and a flash for your photography needs. The idea is to get lenses that are very fast and have a low f-stop. For example, this 40mm has a f-stop of 2.8, and that is decent for low light photography, and even lower, taking it down to a professional level and spending about $1,000 on a lens to get a 1.4 is going to help you out that much more. Every f-stop is about one stop of light, and that enables you to reduce your ISO and retain more detail. So tripod, flash, wide angle lens, and having the diffuser, and going to your location beforehand and knowing where you're going to shoot if it's an event to understand what the lighting is like there. And that's pretty much what you're going to need beforehand to prepare yourself the most for going into this. And lenses that have stabilization are killer because they allow you to have a longer shutter speed with better results. Now, while you're at the location, you're going to want to set white balance and figure out exactly what it's going to look like. Always shoot in RAW so that you can massage the most quality out of your images afterwards. Having a white balance set or figuring out exactly where you're going to help it is going to help you in post so much more because you're not going to be so far off from the image. However, sometimes I have shot in a location where they had RGB lights all over the walls, and I pretty much set it for the tungsten lights and figured it out in post. It wasn't fun, but it's doable. Having your aperture open to its widest will let in the most light, obviously, and having a wide angle lens will reduce the amount of motion in it and allow you to take much more crispy shots, because the more zoomed in you are, the more you are going to have problems with when you're all the way zoomed in, it's shaking so much more, and when you bring it out, there's a lot less shake in your camera. Having a grip as well on the bottom will allow you to have much more stability in taking these photos, allowing you to take longer shutter speeds. And the red light of death, I'm going to show you how to go in and turn that off. Your death, it's supposed to help you with your distance and finding it and helping it focus, but it really doesn't help that much and just pisses people off. When you're shooting with the flash, I recommend that you turn off the exposure simulation because it will slow down your camera's action for taking photos, and it'll make it more like a DSLR, as that it will automatically show you what it will look like at a higher ISO. When you take the picture, it will always give you what your settings are, but it will allow you to draw focus and see what's on the other side. For more on this, there's an entire video right there. Make sure that you are shooting your image for the crop that you want. So the composition should already be perfect when you take these images, because if you are cropping in at all, that is going to magnify the noise in your image so much. I also recommend using RF glass for low light photography because it does such a wonderful job and keeps so much of the details. Also, you're going to want to make sure that you have the settings enabled to shoot with a flash and that you are using it properly. Do not be pointing your flash at anybody like this. They will be super pissed off unless you're paparazzi, in which case just go ahead and piss everybody off. It doesn't matter. So you're going to want to point it behind you, bounce it off the ceiling, bounce it off the walls, and it'll give you that nice white. And having it at a wider 24, which is what it's going to be set to originally when you have it, and a diffuser on top. There's also this other diffuser, which will give you much nicer light than the direct light that you're going to get straight by flashing. And make sure that your settings are adjusted so that you are able to use the flash while using it. Also, you can change the brightness of your internal screens so that you are automatically so if you are underexposing images and you turn your screens down, it will automatically prompt you to overexpose. We'll start exposing more because you're not seeing the images bright on the back screen, so you're naturally going to bump that up. Inverse is also true. With raising the screen brightness will allow you to naturally underexpose your images a little bit more, depending on what your